This is the center of your world. Sports Central. Sports Central. On Toronto Sports Radio, the Fan 590 and fan590.com.
Seven minutes after 10 o'clock, welcome back to Sports Central on the Fan 590. Good evening. Alex Sixero here until 1 in the morning. We'll tackle pretty much everything we can possibly tackle for the next 3 hours. Thanks for the phone calls. Last hour, appreciated as always. This hour, focus a lot on soccer, and why wouldn't we? The World Cup final goes tomorrow in Johannesburg between Spain and the Netherlands. It's a 2:30 kick. We'll talk to a Christian Jack from The Score. After the next update, we'll get his take on the final and today's third-place game, which featured a 3-2 win for Germany over Uruguay. We'll also get Christian's take, and it's an interesting one because we talked to him a couple of hours ago, so we'll play the interview for you. But Christian, who knows tons about England soccer and referees for that matter, he'll give us his take on whether he thinks Howard Webb will be a good fit to officiate the World Cup final tomorrow. I actually don't mind Howard Webb. It's probably a few other guys who I would deem better, but at least we're not going to get the idiot from Mali or the dunce cap from Saudi Arabia. Like a lot of stupid choices for referees in this World Cup. Just dumb, idiotic selections. The guy from Uzbekistan is actually pretty good. The guy from Mali and Saudi Arabia, and no disrespect to those countries, they're one of the worst referees I've seen in a long, long time. But the Uzbeki guy did the first semifinal, so there you go. So we'll talk to Christian after 10:20. Perhaps after 10:40, give you my take on the TFC game today. Toronto FC defeating their opponents in the Colorado Rapids 1-0 earlier today, so we'll perhaps talk about that after the 10:40 update. But joining us on the line, his name is Brad Humber, works over at Sportsnet with our producer Zach Cosby, and he is pretty much just a soccer fan who has had the opportunity to go to South Africa and take in, aside from the Olympics, the best and biggest tournament you will see on God's green earth. Brad joins us it's this morning over in Johannesburg, where it's about 4:09 on Sunday morning. Brad, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Just waiting for this final to get underway later on today.
Let's start with when you came up to the decision of going to South Africa, and how difficult was it to plan for it, to get your plane tickets, to get tickets to see games? Like, was this in the works for months, or is this more of a spontaneous situation where you said, you know what, I feel like going, I'm going to make it happen?
Well, actually, this is my second World Cup. I actually went in 2006 over to Germany. And I have to tell you, when I got finished with my trip to the World Cup in '06, it was just one of those things where I said, I have to go in 2010. Mm-hmm. I have to go in 4 years. It was just a fever that you just got a hold of. So basically, it was over a year ago when my friend Nisho, who I'm here with, we basically said, you know what, he's got tons of family here. He said, you know what, let's go down, visit my family. We've got places to stay. So we actually got tickets a year ago. We got flights in January, and then flights within the country about a month before the tournament actually started. And we've actually been to 9 matches so far.
Wow.
Ranging from Rustenburg on June 12th, where we saw England and USA, right up until 2 quarterfinals here in Johannesburg, where we saw probably the match of the tournament. A lot of people are saying in Uruguay and Ghana, and then we actually saw Spain versus Paraguay as well, which turned out to be a great match as well. So, I mean, the country is unbelievable. How the locals here have absolutely embraced the world of soccer is unbelievable.
Zach tells me you're a pretty big England supporter. How close were you to Robert Greene after the mistake that he'll probably never forget in his lifetime? Like how many rows were you back of the guy that everyone talked about the first couple of days of the tourney?
Yeah, we were actually behind that goal, and we were about 14 rows up, and
wow.
It was one of those moments where your heart just kind of goes, oh, not again. But being an England supporter, you just kind of have to shake your head and go, oh, I'm used to seeing that.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about getting the tickets to the games, because I have some sort of experience. I was in Portugal 6 years ago for the Euro, where at that point with UEFA, it was pretty much a lottery. We went online. We tried to get as many games as we could. We ended up getting 3, and then we got 2 more games as we were in the country. We went to different cities, and we kind of scalped. I don't know if I should be really saying that on radio, but what was it? Was it kind of the same process where you pretty much just put your name in the drum with many other people around the world, and you came up with a number of games, and then perhaps watch some others as you were there in South Africa?
Initially, that's what it was. We actually I put in a request for 7 matches, and I didn't even know who we would be seeing at that point. In the first sales phase, I just picked games in and around Durban, Johannesburg. Durban and Johannesburg, of teams that were going to be the number 1 seeds of each group. So we knew we were going to actually be seeing, fairly good teams if we got tickets. And I must say that the tickets were actually a lot easier to get for this World Cup than they were when I went to Germany in '06. I was only actually able to see 3 games in Germany, and here we were actually able to get 9. So through the first initial sales phase, we did get 5 games, and then as the tournament leading up to the tournament, FIFA was having such a hard time being able to sell tickets as sponsors and other tickets were coming back because federations weren't able to sell their tickets for the matches. So we were actually able to scoop up a couple of quarterfinal matches as well as the England USA game probably a month before the tournament actually started.
Brad Humber is on the line live from South Africa. Brad's a good friend of our producer, Zach Cosby, and he's had the opportunity to spend the entire month from the 11th of June up until tomorrow in South Africa taking in the World Cup. Let me ask you about the different cities, Brad. And, I get it's understood to me that, if you're in Johannesburg from a security perspective, from, a theft and, some poor areas in the city, it's a lot different in a place like Johannesburg than maybe a place like Port Elizabeth. Is that the feeling you get when traveling around, going to 9 games in different cities, that, Johannesburg, it's a popular city, but maybe it's simply not as nice as some other parts of the country?
I would agree with that. I have to say that, when you look at Johannesburg as a whole, it is very much a business city, and you don't really get to see the beauty of what actual, the country of South Africa is like. When we went to Durban, the beaches there, unbelievable. The fan fest, when we went down to the official fan fest on the beach, what Durban has done to transform that area is amazing. The people here, though, just I mean, everyone's, talking about security and talking about theft and talking about, carjackings and be safe with, your belongings. I mean, I have no problem, taking out my iPhone and texting people back home, while I'm sitting in a restaurant or while I'm walking down the street, and everyone's like, "Oh, don't take your phone out," or "Don't, take pictures." Hide your camera. Make sure it's if you're taking it with you, put it in your backpack. But I found it's been very, very secure, and police, and people in general. As long as you're in a group and you're in the right area, I mean, you're fine. And we went down to Cape Town, and I got to say, it's one of the most gorgeous places I've ever visited while traveling. From Cape Point, Table Mountain, to right up to Robben Island and the winery areas. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous country. And for people who said who were trying to knock South Africa and saying, they will never be able to hold this World Cup, I must say that they've done a fabulous job with being able to put this tournament.
I found one of the coolest parts of going to the Euro 2004 in Portugal 6 years ago was stumbling across some other Canadian soccer fans who you could see donning a Canadian flag on the backpack or a Canadian hat or a Canadian shirt. Have you stumbled across any other Canadian soccer fans in your time in South Africa?
It's funny. At most of the games, some of the games I was obviously had gear for teams that I was cheering for. But when I would go to a game where it was two neutral teams, say when we went to see Argentina versus South Korea at Soccer City, I would don my old TFC gear, the old hat and jersey, and you'd see fans come up to you and go, "Oh, TFC, TFC," and people actually recognize, what TFC is. And one of the funniest stories that I have is that we were in a mall here in Johannesburg about a week ago, just doing some shopping, and a Brazilian guy comes up to me, and he couldn't speak English, but he just takes his hat off, his Brazilian hat, and he wants to trade. So he actually wants my TFC hat, and he wants to trade me for his Brazil hat. And I kind of look at the hat, and then I look at mine, and I'm like, no, I think I'm going to keep my hat. But people do recognize, the local team, and you do find that fans really do appreciate, where you're from and want to start talking. I mean, even people here in South Africa, have heard of Toronto FC, and they're like, so we hear of this we've heard of Toronto FC, obviously because of MLS, and is it a good league? Is MLS a good league? And they actually think it's on par. I mean, they've never seen it, but they think it's actually on par with Premier League, English Premier League, and we're like, well, it's not up to that standard, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
We have about 30 seconds, Brad, so I'll need you to be brief if you can. But where will you be during the final tomorrow, and what is the general consensus in South Africa? Over here, many people expect Spain to win. Is that the feeling over there?
Well, we haven't decided on where we're going yet tomorrow. We do want to watch it somewhere within a city center, probably at a fan fest downtown, hopefully in and amongst the locals, because the atmosphere, with the locals is amazing. And I think, honestly, the consensus here is there's a lot of Spain fans, but Holland, Hop Holland, they are an Orange Brigade as well. So it should be an exciting final, and we're definitely looking forward to watching it. Unfortunately, no tickets, but it should be a great final, I think, anyway.
Well, listen, thanks for getting up from your nap. I know it's about 4:20 in the morning over there, but enjoy the final couple of days in South Africa. I'm sure it's going to be great, and safe travels back to Canada.
Okay, thanks a lot for having me on.
All right, thank you. There's Brad Humber, just an average Joe. Good friend of our producer, had the opportunity the last month to spend some time in South Africa. Extremely jealous. We thank Brad for giving us a bit of a different perspective on what it's been like in South Africa to take in one of the best sporting events known to man. When we come back, we'll dig a little bit deeper in regards to tomorrow's final. Christian Jack from The Score and The Footy Show will join us to preview Holland v. Spain right here on the Fan 590.